I think I've said this at the beginning of every interview today because our entire this weekend has been so stacked, but I'm very excited for this interview, and I've kind of been excited for it for most of the day because I wasn't entirely sure how we were going to start it. Because I think, as a matter of fact, now we did have this conversation, and it gets a little weird when you have a sponsor that's on your podcast. So we'll start it this way, just so we get all the cards on the table. Jennessa is not here because she's a sponsor, but Jennessa is a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you very much for that,
You're very welcome.
By the way.
We like supporting.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate that. But the reason you're here is because our conversation that we had, a mere 4 days ago or something like that, was really sort of inspiring to me. I mean, we'll start right from the very beginning. Actually, kind of go back even to the story I just told you a little bit there. Having one of those, bad days as a business owner where, stuff is going wrong and it's another one like, we got to do this. And I'm sitting out in my car, typing on my phone, trying to chase down problems or whatever, about to go into this meeting that I want to go into the meeting, but I don't expect anything to come from because, not everything is necessarily connected, but you go do them because whatever. And walking into the meeting had kind of one of those moments where I said, this person you're about to meet is going to ask you how you're going to do or how you're doing. What are you going to say? And just kind of thought, well, you're going to say you're doing all the stupid shit you got to do to run your business, and it's better than any day in a truck. And an hour later, walked out having met one of the most incredible human beings I've had a conversation with. So, hi, Jennessa. There's your introduction to our podcast.
Well, I'm super blushing now. I'm hoping it's in black and white. But.
So maybe, I mean, we had about an hour the first time we met to sort of go over some of this stuff. Let's maybe just start right at the beginning for you. Born and raised here in Windsor?
Born and raised in Windsor, yeah.
Okay, like in the city proper?
Yeah.
Okay, like what high school, that sort of thing?
I went to Brennan.
Okay, that's where my daughter goes.
Yeah, I went to Brennan.
How did you, give me some of your family history. Where's your family from? What did they do? What do they, that sort of thing?
We're all from Windsor. I think my dad's family was originally from Chatham, but he was always raised here.
Okay.
Same thing with my mom. My mom's family were all from Windsor, Riverside and Walkerville.
What kind of work and that sort of thing?
My dad just retired actually from Cavalier Tool and Die.
Okay.
He was the sales manager and sales director for years, and just kind of like that old school sales guy that just doesn't sell a product, sells himself.
Right.
That's my dad. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he instill that in you a little bit?
Yeah.
Intentionally?
No. It was totally an accident. You
Okay.
can't be around my father without just being completely in love with him. He's just that kind of guy. Yeah.
Just everybody's best friend?
He is. Yeah. And he has that skill of mirroring, right? He can be who you need him to be.
Okay.
So he can get along with everybody.
It's funny that you put it that way because I think that and it's funny that you phrase it like a skill because I know I've heard it phrased like that, but it just sort of caught me funny because it's been something I've thought about recently. The idea of mirroring to me for a long time felt dirty.
I don't know if it's dirty. I think it's relatable.
I think it felt. I think to me, and I think differently now. But I think there was definitely a time where I would see somebody doing that, and it felt like, oh, you're being sleazy. You're fucking pretending.
Well, so there are certain people I think that just don't have that skill perfected yet, and it doesn't feel genuine. There's a difference, right?
Okay.
There's a different thing is that when you meet somebody, and I think when you have a great conversation with somebody or you click with somebody, they bring out a different aspect of you. They sort of answer a different call, I guess. I don't know, that sounds weird or cheesy, but so you can be not a different person, but celebrate a different aspect of yourself.
Okay.
But if you meet somebody and you're trying to be, I don't know, pretentious, or you're trying to put on an act, then you're just not genuine, and then it feels weird. Right, then it's just uncomfortable.
But
that's gross.
It's funny because it's almost the exact same thing as kind of a conversation I've had with some of the people even related to the podcast, where you talk about sort of turning up who you are. When you're in a position like this, when you're on camera, when you're dealing with the public or whatever, it's not about pretending to be somebody different. It's just sort of taking those aspects of you that are there and just kind of turning them up a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that kind of the same sort of behavior you're talking about?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to... There are moments in your life where I think you have to be on, right? And I think that the easier ones and the ones that we're more comfortable with are ones that we're sort of off, and we're just ourselves. But I think it's human nature to be in certain situations where you have to be on.
Did you find it uncomfortable growing up to be around, though? Because I guess your dad drew a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Not in a bad way. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, he did. Like, he's everybody's buddy. So yeah, he kind of figured out how to control a crowd in that kind of way.
Did you have conversations? Like, did he teach you how to do it, or was it just watching him be who he was?
No, it's watching him be who it is, and it's kind of funny because now, being an adult, I get to share a lot of similar moments with him. So, part of my work, I do trade shows and like platform artist work, and so I do hair trade shows, and he did tool and die trade shows, and so we can share these moments of commonality in our industries. And you can just see him like, oh my God, she's exactly like me. Like, you can just see it in his face. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't think it was like intentional. It didn't like make me that person. I think I just...
Tell me about Mom.
My mom's a nurse.
Okay.
She is an incredibly special person. My mom, more than anything, taught me empathy. She's been palliative care, so my mother is end of life care for basically her whole career.
Wow.
And also retired and worked in Carmanos in the States, which is the DMC, and worked in experimental cancer research. She was a nurse in sort of stage 4. But my mom.
What does it mean to be a nurse in research?
Well, she would administer new treatments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she would administer new treatments to patients and record the results and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
it's like specialty training kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And dealing a lot with chemo and different kind of newer versions of radiation. And
well, I guess because of timing, it would have been right around that time when they were starting to experiment with all that stuff, eh?
Yeah, I mean, they've been experimenting, I think, forever, right? And it's the doctor that she was working with is actually one of the leading doctors in research in the States. It was really, really, really cool work. She was never really, she would never really tell you a lot about it.
That was my next question. Did she bring it home ever? No. So what was home like with Mom then?
Super, chill. Yeah. I mean, I think that we have a lot of respect for life.
Yeah.
And that's been instilled in us, for sure. We have a lot of respect for life and the journey and what that looks like, and like I said, it's not a bad day. It's just about an hour. And love what you got.
So how did you find your way into, I'm going to say cosmology, I don't know if that's correct, but into the life that you found now? When was your first sort of steps in that direction?
I fell into it.
Okay.
It was never anything that was on my radar at all. I'm not that kind of hairstylist. I'm pretty, I'm going to make everybody else pretty. That's not, it was never my journey. Although there's a lot of value in that experience as well. Mm-hmm. I fell into it a little bit later on in life. Later on in life, I think I was 22. That's hilarious that I said that. But later,
I was an old maid at 22, yeah.
Later than most people find.
Right.
I went to university and I did the whole business thing because I think that not to knock business as a program, but I sort of feel like I went into it because that's just what you do when you don't really know what else to do, and so they're kind of I went.
But truth be told, I think that's what you do when you didn't know what else to do.
That's exactly what I did. I felt like it was a broad enough category to learn about something.
Because I feel the exact same thing, the exact same way about the communication studies program. Now, I didn't take that either, but everybody I know that's ever been in comm studies only managed to get comm studies because they couldn't figure out what the hell else they're doing. They're like, I want to talk to people or something.
Yeah, it's kind of you find a broad category and then you specialize later on, right? Yeah. What I found out for sure is that, one, I don't learn that way at all. And any version of self-guided, you read this entire textbook and understand it completely, and then I was just not for me.
Not you. Yeah.
It's not how I roll. But I was all I guess I was interested in hair. I remembered after when somebody's like, you should become a hairstylist. I thought, I wonder why you said that. And then I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I did all of our prom hair and I did my sister's hair for prom. And I remembered afterwards that I was interested in it, but it wasn't a conscious thought.
Did you wander as a teenager much? Just kind of between ideas?
Yeah.
A little aimlessly?
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey. What were some of the missteps?
Oh God, there's been so many. No, I wouldn't say missteps. But
when you try to find what your path is, sometimes you go down these weird roads that it's yes, this is going to be. Oh, what the hell is that? Give me some of those. What were the lessons you learned along the way?
I don't know. Like, I guess I just even floated amongst like friend groups and social activities, and I kind of floated like throughout it all.
Just tried a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think that what I found out from that experience is that I am very similar to my father. What I do is people.
Okay.
So no matter what, I think that the commonality to all that is that what drew me into another activity is an interesting person.
Okay.
You know, it was like somebody else in a group of friends that I thought, oh, she's like, I would really like to get to know her, and so I would kind of morph my way into different friend groups and different activities. And, you know, for a second I thought I was athletic. That didn't go very far. That was probably the funniest misstep. But, you know, I mean, but because I thought, like, this is a group of people I would like to get to know and, like, find out what it is. I think that no matter what, my journey brought me through the joy of knowing people and figuring them out. That I really enjoy, which I think is a strong suit even in my career now.
I wonder, because I know where part of our conversation is going to go as we get there, but just to sort of give a basis for it, did you have a hard time growing up? Like, did you have a hard time finding, like, because you were sort of wandering from group to group, did you feel like you fit in?
No, I don't even think I feel like I fit in now.
Okay.
I mean, that's... I
mean, I don't know if fit in is the right word, but like, did you feel comfortable in yourself growing up?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, no. I envied the people who did.
I mean,
you know, but I
almost stopped myself because, like, do you think there really is anybody that does?
Yeah, I wonder. No, I mean, now you look at high school students now, and because of YouTube, they know how to contour and like do all this kind of stuff. And I feel like it's a lot more, right? Like,
all right,
there's all these things. I feel like there's a lot more pressure on kids now. I think that there was a benefit for us growing up in that world of like not really fitting in, because we sort of found our own way. We found our own voice. I almost feel a little bit more afraid for this generation because they have to. The voice is so much more common. It's like it's one voice as opposed to so many more. You know,
okay.
Does that make any sense? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
they're all saying the same thing. It's like Stepford wifey almost.
Like, I had the benefit. I don't know. Like, I haven't really been in a high school setting in a really long time, but I had the benefit of like, well, not a really long time, but I had the benefit of having, you know, the goths and the sports and the you know, and the different sort of groups that we had growing up. And I don't know if that's.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to me, because like I've got a daughter who's 14 and also has a YouTube makeup channel. There's your shout out, Alicia, kind of. Ali Glam on YouTube there. She's been begging me to do it.
Amazing.
Fine. You're talking.
They're brilliant.
Well, and the thing is,
I learn from them all the time.
The thing is you're absolutely right. It's funny because they all kind of like, and it makes sense because they're sort of mimicking what's in front of them, and what's in front of them. Like, it's funny when I watch my daughter do her thing. It's you know, oh, make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and it's like. Yeah, I keep fighting ways of having to do that, but that's kind of the thing you have to do, and it's like, but you're right. I never thought about it as the collective voice, but the high school thing you were talking about, I don't hear, like, we hear conversations about, you know, the high school drama, that sort of thing, but I don't hear the conversations about, like, well, you know, these ones are the sporty, and these ones are the, you know, there's the potheads and everyone else, kind of, right? Those are the conversations I hear.
Yeah.
Do you have kids?
We have a son, yeah.
Okay, and how old is he?
He's 7.
Oh, 7, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so you don't even hear any of the high school stuff.
I have no idea. Like, the YouTube stuff that I know right now is, like, toy reviews. Like, that's the only stuff I know.
Oh, that's funny. Like, do you watch that stuff at all?
Oh, I try my hardest to not. It just seems like everybody's screaming.
My favorite one is, there's all these little different YouTube subcultures. If you ever start going for a deep dive into the Lego subculture on YouTube, my buddy in my band was showing me a video the other day. There's a guy who's done up his entire house where, like, every room is drawers of Legos. And they're organized by, like, the piece type. Like, did you know that Lego pieces have names? But Lego pieces have names. Like, each piece is a different, like, model number, and he's got them wrecked out in model numbers divided by like, it's maybe the scariest thing I've ever seen on tape. It's crazy.
Also, like, the dream of anybody with OCD.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Or is it just like a pile? It's just like a big giant trunk.
And you know what's funny is
Lego pieces.
You say that, but like that is clearly what the problem. Like, this is clearly a person that has like a definite, because you can't be that organized and not have some major psychotic issues.
Minor
psychiatric, not psychotic. But anyway, I'm sorry, we little sidetracked. But it's when you were growing up. where did you, like, because you said your dad was that kind of character that could bounce from place to place, and obviously you were sort of like finding your way to do the same thing, but did you find that separated you from people?
No, I actually find that it unified me. You
Yeah.
know, it's funny, even like now, one of my guest services team members is somebody I went to high school with, and we kind of joke all the time. Her name's Clarissa, but she's wonderful. We joke that like, she's like, she'll be talking about high school memories, and she's like, did we even go to the same high school? Because like, I have no idea what she's talking about. Because I was in and out of the group, right? So I didn't really know.
Okay.
But I think there's benefits to that, because I'm still connected with all the people that I carried and found most important.
Right.
You know, so I don't feel like it put me out. Like, I didn't feel put aside, or I didn't feel alone at all. I actually felt probably that I made more real connections than surface ones.
That's cool. So you go through this journey, you become an old maid at the age of 22. Yeah. You're right. But you did it really though? Did you feel like you were late into the game?
Oh yeah. I mean, they were, you know, the kids coming out of high school going right into beauty school are 18.
Right.
And I think like even the 18 to 22-year-old jump is a big jump, even just in maturity. Yeah.
So you just
and also like I've always just really been an overly mature person, I suppose. Like, yeah.
So when you found it, was it like through Marvell or something like that?
I did actually go to Marvell.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a private school.
Yeah.
I went to Marvell. Yeah.
And so where did you go from there?
From there, I went, one of my teachers, Manny, Mr. F, got me one of my first jobs at a place called Frisco's Family Hair Care. Okay. And I was doing, it's like kind of awesome. It's funny, I don't even really tell a lot of people this, but I should, because it's a really important part of my journey. But yeah, it was like a super clips, like a quick cut, like a
Fantastic Sam's, Bo Ricks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's where I started, and I dug it because it was a lot of independence right away. And yeah, that's where I went right into it.
Because you didn't go into it looking at it like an art form, did you?
I didn't, and I really, in a weird way, I don't actually still
really
think it's an art form.
After all of the conversation, that feels weird to me.
It's science.
Okay.
It's like, and there's a lot of different like sort of sanctions within the industry, but you can be a very intuitive stylist. Okay. And that still is absolutely beautiful work. Right. 100%. But sometimes, you know, your brain just doesn't wrap around that way, and my brain just doesn't wrap around abstract concepts.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I need it to be more structured. So a lot of my education was very focused in the why. Why is this working? Which is very much who I am. It can't just be do it because.
That's really,
I don't work that way.
It's funny because the audience who's following along will maybe understand my astonishment once we get there. It's just I'm sort of. It's funny because after our conversation, I really thought that you went into this with the sort of idea of like looking at it like an art form.
Yeah, especially with what I do now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, that's almost even more interesting to me then. So not even looking at it, it was literally just like, all right, I'll cut some hair kind of thing then for you.
No. I loved the stories. I mean, everybody I meet, there's an opportunity to build self-esteem.
So it really was just about like hanging out, talking to people. It was your way of being a bartender without having to get people drunk.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give me some of the good ones. Give me the conversations that really sort of lit up your mind from the Bo Ricks era of your career. Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't even think that I could. There were just like so many. I met so many interesting characters. A lot, even the people that I worked with were. Brilliant in their comedy. Like they were quick and funny and that I loved. So it was always a good time. So I had a guy come into the salon one day, and I just first started out, and he was an older guy, long white hair, and he wanted a mohawk. And everyone was kind of like, are you sure? Are you sure you really want a mohawk? And everyone was like freaking out, like, I don't really know. And I was like, heck yeah, let's go. And I was talking to him about like what it was, because to me it felt, there was like a weird, I don't know, there was like a weird misstereotype. Like he didn't feel like the kind of person who would wear a mohawk, right, confidently. And so I was talking to him about why do you want this? And he like full on wanted it like long and spiked, and it was like the coolest thing. And I was like bringing out the gel and the hairspray, and I was like, where's got the mayonnaise? But
Going old school.
But to hear his story, when I was talking to him about why specifically he was looking for this haircut, so he, in the moment, had come to a point in his life where he had realized that he wanted to face a lot of his fears, and the people who looked like that scared him. And so he wanted to absorb it. And I thought that was like literally the coolest conversation I think I've ever had. And that, I mean, we're going back 17, I'm not going to say how many years, actually. Erase that. We're going back enough years that like I shouldn't really remember that story, but
no, but that's incredible. That's really interesting.
That's funny. It just like popped back in.
Did you ever? And that's the problem with these stories. You never talked to him again.
I never talked to him again.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, because it was like in and out. Like there was never really an opportunity for client building.
See, now that almost seems like a series to me. Scenes from a barbershop, where you just get in there.
I've often said like I should write a book.
Right.
Really cool. Yeah.
That's funny. So okay, so after discovering how to face your fears of Mohawk hoodlums, where did you? Because I know where this goes, but I don't know how you got to where you got. So you ended up.
I ended up at Styfor.
Okay.
After that,
which is what?
Which is a salon that was owned by a man named Jeffrey Wood.
Okay.
Who still is a hairstylist in the city right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I worked like under him when I was a junior stylist there. And I started from scratch. Like what I realized is that the time that I put into that developed one skill set, but it didn't develop the rest of them that were necessary. And so,
okay.
I just like busted out. I can almost guarantee that I was the one there working the longest hours, making the least amount of money.
Right.
Because we were, working on commission at the time and that kind of stuff. And so I was there every day. I'd be the first one in, last one out. And I didn't even have a client. But I would still be there working on mannequins, figuring out what was going on, helping everybody. Like I was absorbing as much as I possibly could. Okay. And I grew really fast there. Just I was hungry for a lot of knowledge. And Jeffrey was the right mentor for what I needed in the moment.
I mean, I'm a little confused about the model there. Like, so you would show up to work and like work on mannequin. Like, what was your?
Yes.
So like you were just hanging out more than anything, or
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So most hairstylists, like the model for the hair world is a commission-based model or a chair rent model. So you either run your own little business within a salon, or you work on commission, which is basically, I mean, pre-new labor laws. I mean, if you weren't doing a client, you weren't making any money. Okay. But I didn't even really dawn on me that was a problem.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It didn't even really dawn on me that was something. There was something broken in that because I would just literally absorb as much as I possibly could.
Because you weren't there for whatever the money was. You were there because you wanted to do this thing.
Yeah.
What was the thing you wanted to do at that point?
At that point, it was styling. I loved like recreating. It was always cutting. I've always had a love for cutting, but at that point too, it was like it was styling. It was upstyling and blowouts. Like I was really good at blowing out people's hair, which. I know, but it's a funny skill. But it was one of those.
It is it's hilarious because and this was one of the things why I was instantly connected with you when we first met is the passion in which you talk about some of the stuff that and please take this with the grain of salt I mean it, but the stuff that to me is like I would spend zero time giving a shit about blowing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love the idea that you are so passionate about that. So, like, was it just from in working with it? Like, that's why I'm so amazed that you're not a fucking artist, because you talk about this stuff the way artists talk about, like, how they use their mediums and how they create and stuff. And, like, where does that part of it come from?
Well, I think there's science behind art, too, right? Like,
for sure.
I mean, that part for me, I think the love of that really developed through... It's gonna sound. It was a little. I guess counterproductive. I have a character flaw, and that's when somebody tells me that I can't do something, I do the opposite and do it really good,
right?
Really, really well. And so, I would have those moments where it was like, "You're not so good at that." And I'm like, "Oh, watch me," and I would just do that one thing and be great at it. Okay. And so I think that drove something in me. Was like. Yeah, that got my wheels turning, and this is like something that I could really be great at if I It was the hard work. I really loved the hard work. I loved it.
But what was it with the chemistry? Because you keep coming back to the science connection too. So you like, I've seen your shop. You like to play with chemicals.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully you're not planning on blowing anything up, because I think you've got enough stuff in there you might be able to. But
they're all safe,
right? But tell me about that. Like, where's like what is that? Because you talk about it with such passion, but I'm trying to figure out what it is that excites you so much about it. You know what I mean?
There's so many different aspects of it, I think, that excite me. When it comes to the actual technical stuff that's in the hair, right. When I'm coloring someone's hair, it's like when you're talking about what you can create. The benefit of an artist, if you're painting, the benefit of that is that you have a white canvas.
Right.
The challenge with hair is that I don't have that. I have underlining pigment. I have things that are coming up from that. So you have to estimate what's underneath it when you're lifting it and how that's going to affect your color balance. So you're trying to blend a color palette half blind. Right. And a lot of that comes from experience. Okay. So that's a blast. That to me is a lot of fun. The science of cutting and technical, your hair cutting to me is physics and math.
Really?
It's angles on the head that solve a problem, and it's the way you wear your hair in relationship to how gravity pulls it off your head. I mean, it sounds like, but I can solve problems when I really relate that to that way. And when I meet women and men, when I meet that are constantly struggling with their self-image. So for me, self-esteem lies in the fact that you have sort of a projected self. And when your projected self doesn't match your actual self, it breaks down your self-esteem. So my goal is to try and pull that out of you now. So I want to pull out what your actual self, like what's missing. I want to find out what you love and what you don't love. And I can help marry those two things. And when I do that, that's magic. It's funny. That's the passion. That's the science of it.
You said that in a way that for the first time in my life used the sort of language, and Syx rolls his eyes every time I talk about this, but when as soon as shit starts getting like hippy dippy trippy, I'm out. Right? Yeah. As soon as you start talking about, as soon as people talking about like your authentic self, fuck off. I'm done. Yeah, well, right? Yeah. But the thing is you actually have framed it in a way. It's like because it's so like concrete with what you do, right?
Yeah.
You framed it in a way that actually makes a little sense to me. Where it's like, okay, it's because I've always like, who else am I other than the person I am? Like I've never sort of I don't go down that sort of intellectual dance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the idea of like, I can't figure out how to make who I am show on the outside is honestly, to me for a long time, I always sort of looked at it as like, well, I can't control what this is. So give me this, I'll put on it, and then I'll just go do the shit that I do.
Yeah.
But you managed to frame that idea in a way that I've never sort of thought about it before.
Because I've lived it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've been a high school girl stuck in like this. I feel like I should look like this, and I mean,
me too.
Yeah. No, yeah, I lived it. I mean, like, not to be like gender specific, but I think a lot of women do. Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that's something that, especially when it comes to your hair, it's like the accessory that is always with you. And although we can very much downplay it, I think that when it doesn't meet that expectation, you just don't feel like it's a good day. Bad hair day, it's a bad day. And it happens a lot for women. And
I think when it comes to like the beauty industry in general, it just gets kind of like shoved aside to be vanity.
100%. Yeah, but it's not.
Give me your thoughts on that.
I think you're glam shaming. No, I'm kidding.
Hashtag glam shame. No. Hashtag Allie glam shame. No, wait, now I'm just shaming my daughter. This is terrible.
No. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that there is a very stereotypical image of what a hairstylist looks like, right. And there's a very stereotypical view of what a hair salon atmosphere is, right. And there's a lot of that. But I try and bring awareness against that. I mean, I think that it's an important part of our everyday, and that's why we focus so much on education in our salon. Like
and that's what I was just going to say, because your salon is like, and I love the phrase that you use. You call it the anti-salon. I love that, and I kind of looked at you dumbfounded, like, what does it even mean? But I find this so fascinating. Talk about what it is that you guys do at the salon.
Right. So. We should probably also say that I own Bounce Hair Boutique in Walker.
Oh, yeah. Minor details.
So we know like where we're going.
Right.
But yeah, we specialize in natural texture and natural curls, anywhere from waves to super curls. And
which is a thing that until I sat down and talked to you about this, I went, oh yeah, fuck, like that's a thing. Like
curly hair?
Yeah, like it's like that is a thing that people have to think about, because you frame it in a very specific way. I'll let you talk. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Yeah, I mean the industry isn't set up necessarily to be able to understand or celebrate the fabric of curly hair, and it's different than any other fabric because it's going to behave differently, and so it needs to be treated and cut differently. And it's really all when you learn the art of hair. It's cut. You're taught to do it all the same way. Industry-wide. And so they'll say, cut curly hair wet and just do it a little bit different than straight hair, but, leave it a little bit like a half inch longer. And it's like a half inch longer is actually like the blanket term for how long you should leave it.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm wavy. My half inch is going to be very different than a super curly's half inch. Sometimes dry versus wet hair can spring back like 7 inches. I don't want to get super technical.
Sure.
But what happens is you set up a situation in where a lot of women go and fight their hair. I mean, we're talking about women who suffer from having frizzy hair, not really having a lot of success. The products that you're using are setting you up for a worst case scenario, not a best case scenario, because they're adding in things that are saying that they're solving the problem, but they're giving you a quick, immediate fix. They're not really giving you a solution. So you end up having to buy more product, and you live like, I guarantee you can go into the bathroom of anybody who has curly hair or just hair period, and you open up cupboards full, and there's like products that have gone to die. They've just like been used like twice, gone to die. It's like hundreds of dollars of investments that make no sense for anybody. It's just the whole industry sets you up for non-success. And that doesn't make any sense to me at all. So
when did it come to you, and how did it come to you that this was a problem?
I was training. I told you this story when I met Lorraine Massey, who started the world of Diva Curl, who was a product line that we use in the salon, but also a company that I work for. So I met Lorraine Massey when I was in Florida. I was at a big trade show in Orlando, Florida, training, and it was like this huge show, and I had run into her and their stage performance and kind of what they were doing, and they were styling hair live on the show, washing and styling, which backstory in our industry is not what you do. You model prep behind the curtain, right?
Okay.
So like you just in case everything goes wrong, it's like then you bring them onto the stage done.
Right.
But they were doing it all live there, which was really cool, and really using very natural botanical based ingredients. So
they were making a point of this.
A solid point, yeah.
Okay.
And Diva Curl was one of the first companies to eliminate silicones and sulfates and all those things that not only are bad for our environment, because like silicone doesn't break down no matter what. It's in your water supply, and it's in every single hair product out there, period. It's in your conditioner. It's there for slip, but it also doesn't dissolve. It's not water soluble, and so when it goes down your water drain, it sits in our rivers and our lakes, and it's horrible for the environment. So all that stuff, it also just doesn't give you any long-term solution for your hair at all. It gives you a quick cosmetic fix.
You said something when we were talking about this before about the idea of that the chemicals in it almost like protect your hair against the things that would make it help, like that would do it well.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to give you moisture, but also it's doing is repelling water.
Well, it's like the thing. It's like the most. It's like the most mind-blowing thing, but it's the simplest of concepts. I mean, you're using something that offers you hydration, like a conditioner in your hair, or if you want to sell a hair product, just put anti-frizz on it. Right. And it will fly off a shelf. So, but what that's supposed to do is hydrate your hair. But the main ingredient in that will be silicone, which is car wax, which repels water. So it makes absolutely no sense that they're marketing and selling this thing. It's like you're part of that machine, And I was part of that machine. Like, I
Yeah.
knew that. Like, I was like, you can't not shampoo your hair. You can't not use all this kind of stuff. You need this stuff. And so when I saw Lorraine and I saw what was happening, and I literally saw it before my eyes, what was going on with curly hair. And it was also something that in my journey, and like I said before, like if I've been told that I don't do something very well, I work really hard to master that one thing. And curly hair was always felt like a weakness for me because they didn't set me up for success.
Did you feel it personally like it was a weakness, or did somebody tell you you're not good at this?
Yes to both of those things.
I wonder because you've come on that point specifically where it's like, I don't like to be told, right?
Yeah, and that's sometimes a downside of our industry when you're assisting someone is you're growing up in that culture. But it was not a skill set that was in my repertoire,
right.
And I wanted it to be,
yeah.
And so I was drawn to it specifically for that. But when I came back and I started doing it, and I started really figuring it out, that like, wait, but all this stuff has silicone in it, but this stuff doesn't. So why is this good for your hair? But like, if you have straight hair, you're going to use all the crap product, but the people curl. It was just like there was this huge disconnect. And then I started really listening to women, and that's when I learned the difference between hearing and listening. Mm-hmm. A lot because I was asking the same questions before. How did you like your hair the last time? What were your struggles? Like, I was asking a lot of the same questions in my consultations before, but after I was armed with the information, based on hearing the complaints and specifically about curly hair and about this product, the things that we put in our body and on our body and our hair. When I started hearing the same answers, I was hearing them differently. Right. And it was like, I think you might have curly hair. I'm hearing people say that, like, I never have success. I always have to blow dry my hair. I always have to flat iron it. I always have to, it's too much work. I just want wash and wear hair. I don't want to have to worry about it. I was hearing that they weren't feeling successful. And
you would hear all of that initially and go, okay, no problem, let's get your hair straight.
Exactly, yeah. So here you go, same thing as last time, And it was just like, that makes no sense at all. So what I realized was that I wasn't fixing anything. Right. I was offering you no solution. In fact, probably I was making it worse. Right. And when I came back, armed with different information, I sat down, and as I was hearing my clients talk about the same things that they were, but I was hearing it in a different way, I was like, I'm so sorry, but I've been doing your hair wrong this entire time. And I would literally say that to them. And it kind of like caught people off guard. I was like, what have you been? But I'm like, I think you may have curl in your hair. I think you may have some wave. And I'm hearing you say that you don't have a lot of time in your life. I'm hearing you say that you're frustrated with your hair and it doesn't make you feel very good. Right. And I'm hearing you say that you want to do it fast and you want success with it when you're not in my chair, when you're at home. So can I show you this system? Can I show you what I can do? Can we try and enhance your natural hair and see where that goes? And I just like to sit down with
How was the response initially?
Oh, it was like, it was gangbusters. Everyone was so excited. Yeah, so excited. I mean, it's not really a scary thing, It was just like, let's just see what.
But is it not? Like, because I don't know the age range of your clients, but I would assume that somebody, like, just from the conversations that we've had, somebody who went through their whole life, and if they find themselves at like 35, 40 years old, or even maybe even younger, but suddenly be confronted with this idea that you've gone through, because I'm guessing you're not the first hairstylist to do their hair that way or whatever, but sort of like confronted with the idea of like, maybe you don't look the way you think you should look, like, or maybe you don't look the way you know what I mean? I figure for some people that might be a bit of like something to confront. Do you come up against that much?
I don't. I actually think that a lot of people think to themselves already, like, especially if they're having that struggle,
that they're already there. They're just looking for somebody to confirm it.
Someone give me an answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. They're looking for somebody to confirm it.
Okay.
And that's the process I've had a lot. I've seen a lot of people kind of just go, just help me figure it out. Okay. Like, help me see what this is and what's going on. So.
And I mean, it seems to be doing well for you. Your shop is beautiful.
Thank you.
And I mean, for anybody who go down and see the shop, the best way to describe it, while I was sitting there while we were looking, I look over and she's got this shelf of hair care products that looks exactly like Denial's, all his spray cans. She's got
color wall.
The color wall looks like going into this paint shop or whatever. It's gorgeous. But additionally, the other thing that I thought was cool is you've got this like separate room that's kind of a different thing from what happens in the city normally too, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that, because I really love this story.
So when we expanded, because this is our second location. When we expanded, I had a woman call me and ask if we offered a private area because she wore a cover, and I couldn't. It's like a warehouse. Like the place is really wide open. It's like a giant warehouse, and I couldn't really offer her an honest, secure place. And she's like, "Well, it's okay. I bring my own wall. Like I have a shield if you don't mind." I thought, like. What? Like you bring a wall? Like that just feels so. That feels like I can't give you the same experience as everybody else because.
Yeah, it's kind of like
feels like.
Now you got to drive around with a wall.
Yeah. It just felt. I don't know. It just felt. It didn't feel like. It felt like I couldn't offer you.
Right.
A safe experience, and that's not who I am. That's not who we are. Every experience in our salon is a safe experience, and so I wanted to really make sure. So, I use that opportunity to learn and find out what would make her more comfortable and what she would need in order to feel safe because her hair can't be exposed. And so out of that, we built a private area. We have like a private salon within the salon, which is really cool. It's like an old barnwood with windows, and then we just draw the curtains when you're in there. So it sometimes feels like part of the salon, but it can be very private. So we offer a private experience. There's a full sink, dry, and everything can happen within that area. So that
I thought that was so cool when you showed me that. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I'm super proud of it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't believe in not being inclusive. So
it's fantastic. And honestly, like I said, just the conversation that we had when we went and sat down. The thing that impressed me more than anything else was just how passionate you are about your particular industry. And when I say this podcast is about art and culture, that's what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, it's about people who are just passionate about the thing that's in front of them that they want to do. And I've the pictures that if you go to Bounce's website and see the pictures and stuff of your clients, the stuff that you do with them is just so amazing. The other thing too is they've got this little photo booth that they do right inside the salon that they take pictures of all their clients and stuff. I just think it's fucking brilliant. I just think it's brilliant.
Thanks.
So thanks for hanging out. Does anybody have any questions or whatever? Because there's definitely some stuff I don't know about here.
So I don't know how to word this without getting too political, but like this.
Get political. I'm fine.
Okay, so so I don't need to go too deep into feminist theory here, but like
do it.
Like the concept of weaponized femininity has been something that's been talked about a lot in feminism right now, and how the beauty industry is almost a tool of patriarchy, and that this kind of thing is also problematic. But the way that you talk about it and the way that you build up women is incredible. Was there intention behind that? Was it your intention going in to use the beauty industry originally a tool to oppress women as a tool to empower them? Was that part of your process?
Oh, I would like to say that yes, it was, but it really wasn't.
Okay.
And only because I didn't know it. Yeah. Like I wasn't aware enough when I was that young to call myself a feminist.
Okay.
I am now, and I'll say it very proudly. But what I learned, and through that process of learning the difference between hearing and listening, what I learned was it's what I do is heart, the art or the medium that it translates through is hair. But that's why, our motto literally at the salon is heart before hair. It's who we do. It's what we do. It's who we are. And so my job is to connect with you, to make you feel beautiful the way you feel beautiful. And that I don't think is an anti-feminist thing. No. I think that's a powerful thing for us to empower all of us. And I think that, and I think that if that's who we're going to be, if we're going to celebrate true equality, which is what feminism really is true and actual equality, then we have to really be able to do that together and to change the language and to make it a celebration of a process.
That's the thing. Like it's been such an interesting thing to take something that has traditionally been used to bring women down. Like, you don't look good enough, we have to change the way you look in order to make you look better. And the way that you talk about it is no, we're not changing the way you look. We're finding what is natural about you and bringing that out, which I think is wonderful. And actually, I have another question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So curly hair and natural hair is huge for like women of color.
Yep.
And have you noticed that that's been like, have you noticed that coming through? Like, do you work with a lot of women of color? Yeah.
I 100% do. That's why we call it super curly.
Yeah.
So I should clarify that when I say super curly, what I mean is very curly hair, right? The reason why we chose to use the word super curly versus multicultural hair, you'll hear it like ethnic hair and like all those horrible things. Like, I'm Scottish and Irish, that also makes me multicultural. So like, I don't think that means hair pattern. So yes, we mean super curly. But yeah, we have
Most of your clientele is actually from Detroit, right?
the majority of actually 30% of our clientele come from the United States. Yeah. So we do have a very large super curly clientele, and it's interesting because you would think too that within that culture that there would be a lot of answers to celebrating natural, but there aren't. And so that's something that I take a lot of pride in. I also take a lot of pride in the fact that specifically my salon we're not segregated. There's still an area within the beauty industry that is often segregated. You know, people of color won't come to a white stylist because they don't think that I would understand your hair. And the truth is that the school systems don't actually set you up for success on that. We don't learn it.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud of being able to break down a lot of those barriers.
When you have a new client come in who maybe hasn't experienced like working with somebody who understands natural hair before, do you notice an empowerment thing? Like, do you notice, like, is there real change happening in your clients?
100%.
That's awesome.
I mean, I kind of say it like with pride, we're the salon that just might make you cry, but in a happy way. It happens quite often. You know, it's you're offering somebody a moment to really realize that you are beautiful with exactly what you create, which in its own sense is completely powerful. I'm not going to make you beautiful. That's not going to happen, because what's going to happen is if you feel like in my life before, yes, you would look and feel beautiful going out of the salon no matter what, but then you would go home and do your hair and not feel successful, and then you almost tank, a little bit. You tank a little further down because you're like, oh God, I can't do this, and then it translates into this really dangerous language that says, I'm not good enough. My hair is not good enough. I don't know this enough. And I had too many women who sit in my chair beforehand and they'd be like, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with my hair today. And I will make it a steadfast goal for my entire life to make it so that nobody has to apologize for who they are or what is growing out of their own head when they sit in my chair. So no matter what, we have very, very powerful moments. And, I won't at all profess to have walked your journey for you, but I will definitely walk it next to you every single day.
That's amazing.
Anybody else? Jennessa, thank you so much.
Hey,
that was so much fun.
That was so much fun.
It was great.